Hello everyone, welcome to the UX Tools Wireframing and Prototyping workshop. My name is Isabel Lao, my pronouns are she, hers, and I'm one of the co-design directors this year. Um, for this workshop, if you want to follow along, you'll need to make a Figma account because that's where we'll actually be putting our wireframing and prototyping knowledge to use later. So please go to figma.com and sign up if you don't already have an account. Welcome to the UX Tools Wireframing and Prototyping workshop. The goal of this workshop is to create your own prototype at the end. And in this presentation, I'll go over what wireframing and prototyping are and how they are commonly done in the industry. And then, let's get into it. So first, we'll start by answering the question, what is a wireframe? A wireframe is a two-dimensional skeletal outline of a web page or an app. A wireframe provides a clear overview of the page structure, layout, user flow, and intended behavior of a product. So wireframes basically just contain the bare structure of a product, meaning that concepts, styling, colors, and graphics are usually just kept to a minimum if they're put in at all. And usually they just contain placeholders for where images and text will go, as the goal of a wireframe is just to figure out layout and placement. They can be drawn by hand or created digitally. And in this workshop, we'll be focusing on wireframing and prototyping in Figma, which is a browser-based prototyping tool that's commonly used in the industry. So next, what is a prototype? A prototype is a simulation or sample version of a final product which is used for testing prior to launch. The goal of a prototype is to represent a system, not to make a final product. Prototypes include user flows, screens, and interactions, as well as full graphics and text. They're supposed to closely resemble the product. One good way to grasp the concept of a prototype is a prototype can be viewed as an assumption in the form of a model. When creating a prototype, UX designers are making assumptions about how users will want to use a product. So what's the difference? Simply put, wireframes are made to figure out basic structure and layout, while prototypes are just more advanced wireframes that include more visual detail and interaction. So user testing. But wait, I thought we were talking about prototyping. We still are. The whole reason that we make prototypes is to test them. A prototype is only an assumption of how users will want to use a product. Once the prototype is in the hands of user testers, they'll find out how they really want to use it. Through the user testing process, the creator's assumptions will either be confirmed or denied. And there are often many iterations of a prototype because UX designers must adjust to the needs of the user as they find them out. This is because products should have the interests of its users at its core. Users should not have a hard time navigating or using a product. It's the job of UX designers to make sure that products are easy to use. So what do user testers test for? They test for ease of use, errors, flow issues, and more. The goal is to reveal areas of confusion and uncover opportunities to improve the overall user experience. So the process. I've been hinting at a process this whole time by defining different aspects of it, like wireframes and user testing, but here's an actual breakdown of it. But before we get into it, it's important to note that there's no one best way to prototype, but some ways are better than others. People use many tools from paper to programs to wireframing with code and have different ways of going about getting data from users. And the way I'm presenting to you right now is just what many people find to be one of the more effective processes. So a low fidelity prototype is a commonly used term in the UX industry, and it allows for early testing of crucial elements like navigation and information architecture so that feedback can be incorporated before it becomes too hard to make changes. They're basically just like wireframes because they're only placeholders for text and images and they have minimal design. And then a high fidelity prototype is an advanced version of a low-fi prototype. It allows users to provide detailed feedback on something more closely resembling the final product so that everything is already in place when it's time to code. They happen near the end of the process and are made to look and feel just like the end product. And then the high fidelity prototype is then handed off so that they can begin the actual coding. After finalizing a prototype, it's handed off to engineers to create a final version of the product that is launched on the market. While I was researching, I found this quote that I really liked because I think it's really true. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then a prototype is worth 1,000 meetings. And this is really true because prototypes will save you so much trouble. Rushing towards the final product without adjusting according to user input will cost a lot of time and money because you can speculate about what users want forever, but in the end, the most effective way is to create a model for them to try out themselves. So now that you've learned what a prototype is, we'll put our knowledge into practice through wireframing. But before we get into it, there are a few things you need to know. So there are a few norms that come when people prototype. UX designers often pitch their prototypes to companies or sponsors in order to get the support to make the final product. Prototypes are usually also showcased on design communities online. So we'll be creating a prototype as if we plan to pitch it or showcase it. So in this video, there are a few prototyping norms I want y'all to notice. Right here is an onboarding screen. It's kind of like an intro to the app. It gives like a little welcome, and I'll kind of tell users what they should expect in the actual app. And then there's usually just a little animation for entering like hypothetical user's info. So those are things that we'll be incorporating into our prototype, which will look something like this. We'll be doing this animation with the onboarding screen, and then we'll have a little animation that inputs hypothetical user information. So there should be a Figma link that comes with this workshop, and I will do a quick walkthrough of what prototyping this will look like on the Figma. So here is the Figma workspace that should be provided. Here are some instructions on how to proceed with this like example, and here's some extra prototyping instructions for if you just need them written out. Here's some icons and then a link on how to download the Iconify plugin, which has way more than these. But here are the actual screens I'd like y'all to focus on. So what I want y'all to do is you can copy all of this or just onboarding. So Control C, or if you're on a Mac, Command C, and then go to page, and then put your own name. Yeah, and then just click into it and copy the pages here. So that's what I'd like y'all to do, and y'all will work on this. But I have an example. I made a hypothetical astrology app to practice the prototyping interactions. So we're going to prototype the onboarding screen. To do that, you click on onboarding, and then this little circle should pop up, and you can click it and drag it, and there's a little arrow. Yeah, you can just click it and drag it to login 1. It's important to note that you can prototype from an element to a screen or from a screen to a screen, but you can't prototype from an element to an element or a screen to an element. It should always go to another screen because it won't let you actually go to another element. So yeah, once you do that, interaction details should pop up, but if they don't, you can just click on this again to always change them. So the interaction that we are going to prototype now is on click, onboarding will navigate to login 1, and then the animation we want is push. Usually it's on instant, but that's the default. But right now we're going to go push, and then this panel should give a preview what it looks like. Yeah, like that. And then these are other things that you can mess with, but for our purposes, this is good. So that should be set up, and you can click on this little play button to see your prototype in action. So the interaction we're looking for is once you click it, it will push to login 1. So click, push to login 1, and then we're going to do the rest of it. So usually we click on somewhere in this email field, usually just the word email itself, so that you can have the hypothetical user input their info. So we click this little circle and drag the arrow to login 2, where the info is. And then on this interaction, we'll go on click, navigate to login 2, and we'll just do instant animation. And then let's see what that looks like. So click, push, and then click, instant. Yep. And that is how to make this prototype. Definitely mess around and like try to come up with something yourselves with your own design. And then this like kind of framework, you can change the animations if you'd like. And we will just have a Slack channel open if y'all want to like actually showcase your prototypes. So here is a QR code if you'd like to actually showcase your prototype on a channel that we'll have up. But yeah, thank you for coming to listening to this workshop. I hope you'll have fun prototyping.